And good evening, Buffaloes fans. Welcome to episode 21 of the official Pilot Mound Hockey Academy podcast here on gshow.ca on G Show Productions, our YouTube channel. I'm your host, Graham the G Show Forsyth. This edition of the Buffaloes podcast, as always, brought to you by Mink Cannon Fasteners and Tools, your one-stop shop for all your industrial needs. Be sure to check out their store locations in Brandon and Winnipeg today. Brandon, obviously, closer to Pilot Mound than Winnipeg in a way, or I guess not the best geographically, I guess. But MakeHandFasters.shop is their website where you can check them out as well to take a look at some products that they offer before you go in and purchase from them if you were planning to do so. Also brought to you by Terrico, serving Manitoba producers for over 80 years in the agricultural industry. Be sure to find out why by checking out their website at terrico.ca. And Two Goaltenders, your goalie's personal video review service. Be sure to check out their website at GordyTumilsonGoalies.ca for more information. Speaking of Gordy Tumilson, he'll be joining the show first up in this edition of the Buffaloes podcast. Had a chance to talk to him in the most recent episode that aired, not, of course, yesterday on Sunday, but last weekend on Sunday. Had a chance this time to fully dive into the U18's final result with Gordy, their final game of the season, where they ended up winning 3-2 against the Notre Dame Hounds. The Buffaloes had to battle in that one. Gordy's going to have some insight on that game, an outlook in terms of what's to come for this U18 group next season, as they are losing quite a bit of players due to aging out, as well as talking about the evaluation camp for the U15s, the U18 female programs that just happened this past weekend at Blackjack Stewart Arena, as well as some other great stuff with the first guest in this episode, Gordy Tumilson, here on the Buffaloes podcast, the official Pilot Mound Hockey Academy podcast, brought to you by Gordy's brand goaltenders, Terrico and Mink Cannon Fasteners and Tools. Enjoy, everybody. Gordy Tumilson joining this edition of the Buffaloes podcast for episode 21. Gordy, we didn't have a chance to talk about the U18 males final result last time out because, I don't believe they had played yet. They end up winning 3-2 against the Notre Dame Hounds to close out their week in Penticton last week. And now it's looking ahead into next season for that team. But talk about that game, a hard-fought battle, a close win, and a deserving win for this U18 team to finish things off.
Well, this kids they got beat pretty badly the day before and by Saha and they came back and they just turned everything around. They could have just packed it in, just threw their skates on the ice and let Notre Dame kick us as well. They didn't do that. Kudos to Coach Anthony Florentino and his helper at the time, Colin Fafra, who was our U15 head coach, who was stuck around to help out on the weekend. It was a wonderful event, and the boys played great. And for the first time this year, they beat Notre Dame, and it was really nice for them, to win their last game. They'd had a tough season, and things went better for them in this game. Quinn Burfoot played a really, really steady goal for them, and their D played a major factor in this game. So, yep, we won. We're happy, and we're into getting ready for next year now.
Yeah, and I mean, just looking at this team all season long, there were so many times where this team would get blown out on the scoreboard, and you just pointed to it, right? Losing 16-4 to Coeur d'Alene Hockey Academy the day before to bounce back like that. In the final game, I mean, touch on that some more in terms of how resilient this group ended up being in the end of things.
Well, you hope you have players that come to you that got some fight in them. They got to have some battle, and if they don't, why are you playing hockey? I mean, there's lots of other things you can do that are great things that you don't have to battle and get the poop kicked out of you or poop kicked. You get banged around, you're hurt. It's physical, it's emotional, and so you hope your players respond when they need to. And not being the best players in the world, that's one thing. That's okay, and that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. You're getting better as you're playing because that's what you're there for. But to be able to pick yourself up off the mat and play well the next day if you've had a bad one is really important, not only for a hockey, but for life. I mean, man, you have a bad day. I know people in the radio business, my son being one of them, who, one day you walk into work and they've changed the genre for the music, and you're a rock and roll dude and or a contemporary guy, and all of a sudden country's your next deal, and you're out of a job, but you didn't do anything wrong. I mean, so, and you got to pick yourself. I remember him coming to me the first day. He was embarrassed. He was frustrated, and that's in music and that's in work. That's not in hockey or in play or in minor sports, but it's the same thing. You got to be so. My job then with my son and Anthony with his players is to help them get off the mat and go back and battle again. And sure enough, you're going to get beat again. You're going to lose again. You're going to get, and you're going to have to pick yourself, unless you don't want to. And then that's time to get out of it, right? So, and again, that's okay too. There's no quit in here. It's just there's a change coming, and that's fine. But if you're going to play hockey, boy, you better be. There's only one team that wins the championship every year. Everybody else has got to get off the mat at some point. So guess what? Our guys got off the mat one on a Saturday or on a Friday and won their game on Saturday and came home happy guys.
Yeah, and very true. It's about how you respond. Life goes on, and this team responding beautifully to end off, getting their first win of the season, like you said, against the Notre Dame Hounds. You'd spoken about Colin Farah, how he ended up staying down to help out Anthony. Obviously, didn't have to, but ended up volunteering his time. How much does that say about just the? I mean, we talked about all season long, really pointing to it how dedicated these coaches are, but how much does that say about how much respect these coaches have for each other and the true dedication of the coaches throughout the academy that we see now?
Well, I'll tell you what, that's just what Colin did for Anthony and what Danny Carls did for Colin and for the U17 program. And I think for the girls team as well. They stuck around. They just stick around and they help. And we're going to talk about the evaluation process on the weekend just past year, or just what we're in right now for the girls and U15s. But boy, the coaching staff is a very together unit. We had one coach has left us, and that was appropriate just recently. And now this coaching staff is literally humming along on all cylinders for going forward together, no issues. These guys all get it together, and we fight like cats and dogs. I mean, but we're all there for the same reason, for the kids, to get them to get better, and that's all there is to it. And we all know stuff, and we're all good at different things, and so the coaching staff has come together quite nicely now, and we're going to have to hire a couple more people. Going to be some really fun moments there in the hiring process, but nonetheless, we're going to add people, and we're going to add people that belong in our culture. There's a culture everywhere, every job, every business, everywhere in the world where you go to work. There's a culture, and when we say that, sometimes people think it's a bad thing. No, it's not. It's what it is. It's how people respond. And out in Pilot Mountain, it's a small town, and you have to respect that. The owner is standing right beside you, literally all the time. If he wants to, he's right there. Whereas in big cities and whatnot, you may never see the owner or the ownership group or the management group because it's a big place and all that stuff. So as I ramble on here on this, our coaching staff really came together here all season long, but in particular lately. And I'm proud of these guys because they live hockey 24/7 out there. There's not much else going on, so it's what they do, and they've got to do the right stuff, and every one of these guys has done that lately.
No doubt about it, Gordy, and it's great to hear that I mean, all these coaches were able to come together and hopefully, the momentum that we've seen from this, coming together translates into next season where, of course, all teams looking to get 1% better. One more thing about this U18 team before we move on to talking about the evaluation camp that was hosted this weekend at Blackjack Stewart Arena, but 12 graduates uh, on this U18 team out of the 21 players on the roster. Obviously, going to be a lot of work, or going to be going to work in terms of, scouting and bringing new people onto the team. We could see players from other teams in the academy move up from the U17s. But what's the outlook next year for this U18 team going into their third season now in the program?
Well, we certainly hope they're better, in terms of the quality of players. I mean, the kids they've been trying, but they're not the best players going, and for the most part. And so we're trying to find guys that can support the people that are still around that are going to come back from the last year's team and the kids coming up from U17, as you said. We're going to try and find players that can support them and be better and help them move along and not be 1%. Well, 1% better a day, I guess, is okay. 25% better on the season is kind
Right.
of the goal. And so, they won, I don't know, they won 10 games this year. So 25% increase in that. I had a couple more wins, or three, four, five more wins. And that starts to look better on the resume of the organization and the team. We're hoping for more than that, of course. But at the end of the day, we're working hard to find other players to fill the void that has been left by those 12 graduating players that we're not going to see back.
Yeah, and I think that's an important thing to take a look at, right? I mean, even though there was still a lot of losses for this team this season, I mean, what an improvement from the first year where this team barely won any games. Like you said, 10 wins in total this season. And yeah, I mean, if you can continue to improve next season for this U18 program, could be potentially seeing some more recognition for this U18 team specifically. Gordy, we're going to now jump into the evaluation camp. Fill us in on it. The U15s and girls camp combined that happened recently.
Yeah, we just finished up this. We're shooting this here on a Sunday, and it was Friday, Saturday, just before today, that we held our U15 and U18 girls camps, and very successful camps. Absolutely, we had great turnout from new players from literally all over Manitoba and great parts of Western Canada and other parts of Canada and North America. We also host players on an individual basis as they come up prior to the evaluation camp and after the evaluation camp so that we can see all the players who might be interested in coming to play for us that we think are capable. And of course, they want to see what Pilot Mountain looks like. So, parents drag the kids out of school, another day out of school or two, and off they go, and we get to see them. But the camps are really neat. We have a couple of practices and a couple of games, and we end up having about 20 players come out, new players come out to see who we are, and we fill the void for two teams with girls from our present team, who that allows us to kind of measure, what we've got against what we're seeing the new players as, and so that helps us an awful lot. We get goalies, defensemen, and forwards, of course, and we get them again from all over North America. We had a great number of them out of south eastern Alberta. We managed to tap into Brent Asplund, Emma's dad, out in Alberta. Did a great job of knocking on doors and making phone calls to the kids that he was aware of, and being in. So we're finding that some of our parents have been our best scouts, looking for kids and helping us out. So we ended up having 6 or 7 kids from Alberta come out, and they're all pretty good kids. So we expect again to see a little bit of an improvement, quality wise in our players, and so with that, I think Ryan Carl's our head coach, and Kurt Fortney, our now assistant coach. He's officially our assistant coach in the girls team. I think they've got themselves in around 15 players that they really like and are close to signing. So we're going to hold some spots open for some of those kids that we haven't seen yet, so that haven't realized they should be coming to see us. We have a couple more showcases to go and watch. There's a 200 girl showcase in Alberta we're going to go see later on in the spring. and some boys stuff too. But we'll get to that in a minute. But we're going to be able to evaluate some more players and have some openings, hopefully for to again improve our team 25% from this year. And we had a decent season with our girls based on the past. So yeah, that worked out good. The U15 boys, uh, they're looking for players again. The same sort of ratio, 20 new kids trying out, 10 kids from our regular teams, helping out to fill the roster and helping us measure players. So they don't have as many kids signed yet. They're working on that as we speak. And I know there was a half a dozen kids that they really liked on the weekend. So hopefully that'll help round up some of those empty spots we've got.
Yeah, it's exciting to hear that there's a lot of kids that these coaches like at this point, especially for those U18 female coaches. And Kurt, congratulations to him being assistant coach officially, upgrading from the co-coach title. But interesting what you said about Emma's dad, right? Being a guy that brought in some names to come try out these evaluation camps. How huge is that at the end of the day? Like you said, for these players you bring in, you also get that effect of having, parents that have knowledge in the hockey world, kind of creating a trickle down effect at that, wouldn't you say?
Well, that's huge. There's no better scout in our minds than somebody who's got a player on our teams. And this man has said, I want Pilot. His daughter's going to be there 2 more years. I think it's 2 more years. And so he said, I want Pilot Mountain to be the best team in the league. And I'm starting out and I'm doing this. I'm going to do this and do this. And so here he goes. And I just said, as the I'm the recruitment coordinator guy, and I'm looking for people with energy who know players, who know where players can be found, and who've got the ability to go talk to them and say, hey, my kid's there now, or I've seen these things. You got to check this out. This is a great place to play hockey, and when you go there, you're going to find out what it's like. And every kid that we've talked to, and we have exit interviews for all the players that have come to us over the weekend, and I sat in on the goalie ones. They don't let me sit in on the other ones because I'm biased, but just for the goalies. But anyway, um, they all talk about family and community. Once they've come there for 2 days, they've only been there 2 days. They've been in the rank and in the thing, and but the feeling people get when they come there is family and community. Not you're just a number, and you never see anybody, and you never, you just go to the rink, you go somewhere else. They love the facilities. The program is so well established now. It's almost perfect. So but having a guy like Brent Asplund and out there knocking on doors and helping us find good players, and then speaking on our behalf
Yeah.
is a wonderful thing. And and the other thing that we do, just as an aside, we've just asked about 20 of our 80 parents first round to give us some testimonials in terms of what they like about the program, et cetera, et cetera. So we throw those on our testimonial board. We get our scouts to use them, and that helps the parents out there in the other parts of the world go, oh, I see the word community, I see the word family, in every one of these testimonies. They see that, they hear it, they listen to me talk on your show and others talk on the show, and they look on our website. They get the message after a while that this is kind of a different place, and they can feel really comfortable letting go of their child to go somewhere else because they haven't done this before, and they're going to get looked after properly, and that's what happens.
Yeah, and I mean that's big, I think, to have those testimonials from parents because yes, it's their kids that are spending the time they're putting in the work, but the news gets to the parents first, right? I mean, these are kids at the end of the day enjoying, their day-to-day lives, and it's great that, Pilot Mountain is going to be looking to use that influence from the parents' side of things to help potentially drive more people to come play, more kids to come play at Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy for whatever four programs they may be eligible to join. But as for the development camp, Scorty, of course, we're not done here. There's a lot more coming up. So give us a bit of a rundown about what's coming up for the upcoming development camps here.
Well, the U17 and U18 male programs go on the weekend of the 19th of April. And so we're there for 3 days. I think it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it's a more in-depth time. And of course, we're going to have a gazillion players and big people and big hard skating, fast moving players. We've got a young fella coming from Austria. He'll be our greatest long distance guy coming to camp. He won't be at camp. He's going to be coming in advance of camp because of his schooling back home. So he's going to come up, spend a week with us, practicing with the team and getting familiar with the community, etc. But at the end of the day, we've got a bunch of, I'm going to say, in the area of 40 to 50 players coming into camp on the two teams. And again, we're going to make up, some teams, and it'll be a really good, hard camp, and we'll get to see people and get to know what they're like. And of course, we're trying to sign the better guys, and we still will leave some room for that top 1, 2 D guy or forward guy and a forward line guy, top six guy. And for the first time, I think for the first time since I've been there, we're in need. We're going to be in need of I think four goalies. Our O7s, Pete Moreau, Quinn Burfoot, and Kyle Bielman have all indicated that they are very close to being on their junior teams and making moves in that direction. And so we're not able to count on them next year. And we think we've done it well. We've done a great job, and they've done a great job of working and trying hard and practicing and developing that they're going to move a year in advance of what is the norm. And so we're really proud of this. It's a little frustrating because we don't get anybody back. I know Anthony's kind of disappointed because he was hoping to get one of them back, but at the end of the day, we've got some good goalies coming in from all over North America again, and so along with the rest of our program, we've got some really good players coming in. So we'll be able to take a good look at that and see where we're at, and then we've got some more showcases and some more visitors coming out over the next couple of months. We do keep our ice until the end of May to accommodate some of those late players who may have not looked at us seriously until they get the word that they might want to do that.
Yeah, and that's fantastic news. I mean, not from Anthony Florentino's perspective, not getting goaltenders back,
Yeah.
but I mean that's the angle at the end of the day, right? To get these players moving forward to the next level, and fantastic to hear that not only one, not two, but three goaltenders could very well be moving up to the junior level. Gordy, we're going to talk more with you for one of the final times here on the Buffaloes podcast for this 2023-2024 season. That is, of course, now concluded, but we still got lots of stuff to talk about, I think, coming up for next week. So until then, enjoy everything that's coming your way in terms of this good old hockey goaltending gig, the recruiting gig, and yeah, we'll see you again next week.
Thanks, Graham. Always a pleasure.
And Gordy Tomlinson joining this edition of the Buffaloes podcast. Of course, mentioned that there's about 12 skaters in total that'll be aging out from this Buffaloes team next season. Notable names include Calix Monkman, Austin Polanowski, and Sanjay Chalapiak, who were top three on the team in points, all will be aging out. Monkman having the best season in terms of total points out of all Buffaloes with 48 in 49 games played. The leading goal scorer in terms of the player with the most points who will be returning is Mateo Andrew, who ended up having 23 points in 52 total games this season. He is an 05 born player. And speaking of Buffaloes that can return to this team next season, one of them being Quinn Burfoot, but that may not be the case. There's a potential chance that he moves on to play for the Niverville Nighthawks next season in the MJHL. As me and Gordy were kind of talking about, goalies that could be returning, but won't be next year to play junior a year early. One of those players, of course, in Quinn Burfoot. Had a chance to ask Quinn about that, what the preparation is going to be like for him coming up, heading into the training camp come next year, as well as all his steps before that to get to the point where he wants to be to play junior in a year early before he graduates school. Also talked to him about, the past weekend, not the past weekend, but the last weekend that he had a chance to play with the Buffaloes, being in net to get that final win of the season against the Notre Dame Hounds, and the first time that this Buffaloes team beat them this season. This was pre-recorded, done yesterday, so it was great to hear Quinn's thoughts on all of that, and can't wait for you guys and everyone else listening and watching right now to hear it coming up. So without further ado, let's bring on the man himself of the Pilot Mountain Buffaloes U18 prep hockey team, another goaltender here on the network, and Quinn Burfoot, number 32 of this year's U18 Buffalo squad, joining the show next. Number 32, goaltender for the U18 Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy Buffaloes U18 prep male squad, Quinn Burfoot, joining the show. Quinn, had a chance to talk to your goalie coach and Gordy Tumelson, as always, on the Buffaloes podcast earlier on, and he said, you end up getting the big last win for the team against Notre Dame and Penticton. Obviously, it was already documented this team loses big time the day before. Just take me through what that was like, being able to bounce back the way this team did to get that final victory in the final game of the year.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously it was pretty rough. We go up against Coeur d'Alene and not have a good showing there. I guess boys, all the guys just didn't show up for that game and lost 16-4. So I mean that was rough. And then going into the next day, Notre Dame beat Coeur d'Alene, so we knew it was going to be a good match and that it was a good opportunity to redeem ourselves, kind of. So went in there with a positive mindset and. Yeah, I knew we beat Notre Dame throughout the season. It was kind of it was good competition. It was good matchups every time we played them. So knew it was going to be close and just went in there, kind of played my game. The boys helped me out a ton. They scored quite a bit of goals, which was nice, and that was enough to get us the dub. And I was able to hold my ground. We went down 2-0 after for a little bit there, and then came back, tied it up 2-2. And yeah, I was able to hold my ground for the third period, make some nice saves, and it was enough to get us the win. So it was an awesome way to end. It was a happy way to end. So it was good. And with that, we got a consolation win. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, right on, and huge for this U18 program in its second season of existence. But like you said, I mean, down 2-0, the team scores three unanswered to win. A huge third period where two goals were scored. Talk to Gordy about this, about the resiliency that this team showed until the very end. From a player's perspective, how huge was that type of mindset for this team to know, we haven't beat this team yet, but we've been close. Let's just stick with it.
Yeah, no, it was big for sure. I mean, all throughout the year, I think the biggest thing for us was trying to be good at resilience and stuff. Obviously, it was a tough season, so but I think the boys showed well, and they came up big when they had to, and I think that was the most important part. So it was nice seeing that the boys didn't get too down, and we were ready to go, and we could come back and win the game. So it was pretty good.
Yeah, and I mean, even more special knowing that 12 of the 21 players on this team were playing in their final game. So did it mean that much more knowing that this team was able to come back that way, doing it for those vets in some way or another?
100%. Yeah, I know a lot of the boys. That's what they were talking about. Last game. Playing for U18s and stuff and all that, and they're gonna move up to junior. So I know this was a super big moment for them, and they wanted to win. And I think they did everything they could. They put their body on the line, and I was just happy they were able to do that for their last game. And I know it made a lot of them happy, so it was good.
For yourself, Quinn, you had a chance to, of course, play in a bunch of games this season for the team. Talk about, your game specifically, how you felt you grew throughout this season to the point where you're at now with your skill level.
Yeah, no, I think despite looking at the stat sheet, I think it was my best year for development. Really, like everything from beginning of the year to now. I think the progress has been tremendous, and I've developed a ton. And I think overall, I think for the circumstances, I think I did very well and showed very good. And I was super happy with the way my season went. So it was good.
Yeah, and of course, this was your second season in Pilot Mound. Did anything kind of change in terms of your focus from year one to year two in terms of something you wanted to develop in particular, or was it just working on much of the same from last year coming into this year?
Yeah, well, I think obviously with MJ draft and all that stuff, I think last year that kind of changed my perspective on everything. Getting drafted by Niverville and obviously wanting to make that team for next year. I think that really made me dial in and bear down and really want to develop a ton so that I could get to that next level next year. And I think I was taking all the steps and I was doing all the things I needed to, and I think that really helped me push forward and really try to get better and develop this year and hopefully play next year.
Yeah, and Gordy was telling me that you're one of three goaltenders that could be on their way to the junior level, which is just fantastic to hear. I mean, for yourself, knowing that that could very well be a possibility where you could crack the Nighthawks roster coming up, like you said, a lot of motivation. What do you feel like you could be bringing to that team? I guess next season, if you were able to crack it, knowing you've had all this experience now from playing in the academy and being on ice every day, are those some of the things you take in there in terms of helping you to your benefit, you feel?
Oh, 100%. I mean, all the shots I face in games and stuff, like you can only develop from that, and I think that's something that'll really help me is I'll know how to. I've been through all the experiences and all the different kind of shots and all that stuff, so I think that helped a lot. And then obviously, Pilot does a great job with their goalies. Having goalie skates every Tuesdays. I know Colin would come out to a lot of practices with us, and he would do some drills down in the gym downstairs, some hand-eye drills and stuff. So all those little things I think would help me very much to get to the next level and be ready. And I think I'll bring I'm a young goalie, so uh, tons of time to develop. And I think I think I'd be able to give that team a chance to win every day. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, technically, it would be your last year of minor hockey next year. So yeah, it would be incredible if you are able to crack that roster and get into the league a year earlier. But you mentioned Colin Fafara. He stayed back to help out, I heard, with Anthony Florentino this past week. And how huge was that to have some extra help out there? Or I guess just having Colin being a part of the team for the weekend.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. He was great. All the boys loved him. He helped me out a ton. Obviously coming from a goalie's perspective and all that stuff. It's nice having that second eye who can kind of help you read different plays and tell you different things in the intermission and stuff. So, I mean, him coming down was awesome for the team. He's a great coach and helped us out a ton, definitely.
Yeah, and I mean, all the coaching staff, from what I've talked to and learned about this academy, cares so much about helping you boys improve it and really, making you feel like you're at home in small town Pilot Mound. You've had a chance to experience the academy lifestyle down in small town Pilot Mound for 2 years now. Talk about how huge it's been, how much of an impact it's been to be able to be surrounded by the staff and the types of teammates you played with at this point.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. It's a small community and everybody helps each other, and that's one thing I learned, with all the volunteering I did. You're kind of know everybody around and you learn all their names and learn who they are and stuff. And obviously being living with your team, you grow a super big bond with them and you get super close, like pretty much like family. You got a bunch of brothers from different mothers there, and so it's pretty awesome. I mean, it's an experience that I think not a lot of teams in the CS really get, and I love it, and I learned a lot from it these past 2 years.
Yeah, really about building not just the athlete, but the overall person in terms of getting better throughout this process. I guess if you had a chance to, look back at it, you feel totally different, probably in terms of how the maturity's kind of gone. How huge of a change have you felt in yourself, I guess, in terms of just how you do things day to day from the time you came into the academy to present day here in March 24th, I guess, in 2024.
Yeah, no, I think you grow up a ton. You grow up a ton in a small amount of time, and I think doing little things like even just doing the laundry by yourself and stuff like that. You come home and then your parents are kind of just like, what has this guy been doing? He's grown up so much. So I think little stuff like that and just yeah, maturity all around. I mean, it's up to you to get up in the morning and get yourself to school and get yourself a bite to eat and make sure that you're ready to go for game days and all that stuff. So it's a lot of responsibility, but you learn to grow up pretty fast and it's a great experience for sure.
You're still gonna have some time to practice with the squad, until when practices are done, of course, going to school and stuff. And then off season hits, obviously, like we've talked about, your goal, you have your mindset on trying to make the Niverville Nighthawks MJHL team next season. What's gonna go into this off season for yourself to get prepared and get ready to go for that first day of camp?
Yeah, just everything. I mean, developing on ice obviously is a big one. I want to get all the stuff down, kind of try new things out and get faster and track and do some tracking and stuff and just get better overall and just be ready for spring camp and then summer camp and all that stuff. So getting ready for that stuff, going down to the gym, getting stronger, putting on some weight and all that kind of stuff. I think all that will help and yeah, just being ready to go and I think I got a pretty good chance. So
Well, we're excited here from my perspective to see what is in store for yourself, Quinn, next season and beyond. Best of luck in your future endeavors. And hey, you know what? If you do somehow come back to Pilot Mountain next year, if that ends up being the case, can't wait to have you back on the show at some point in some type of form. Thanks for joining me and enjoy the time with your teammates coming up here and all the great things coming up at Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy until the end of the school year. And unfortunately, couldn't get a last word in there from Quinn because ended up freezing up on his screen. Not sure if it was my connection or his. Might have been his, but no matter what. I mean, it was great to have Quinn on the show for another time this season, and best of luck to him in his future endeavors in hockey. He does end up making it to that junior level next year. Going to be cheering Quinn on, and no matter really where he goes, no matter where he ends up, always going to be cheering on these Buffaloes, alumni and the current players at that. But yeah, we're going to take a transition here coming up, and then I will have some news from around the academy here on the Buffaloes podcast, episode 21 on G Show Productions on gshow.ca, brought to you by goaltenders Terrico and McKenna Fasteners and Tools. Welcome back to the Buffaloes podcast, everybody. Yeah, I mean, our schedule's kind of been all over the place lately. First year being starting this company up. A lot of hockey we've been broadcasting throughout this past month, really, with it being playoff time in the MMJHL and the MFHL. That league just ended. We actually called the championship moment last night, which was pretty fantastic to see the Winnipeg Ice winning 9 straight playoff games for the second year in a row, back-to-back champs. They'll have a chance to compete for a chance to go to the SO Cup in the Western Regionals against the winner from the Saskatchewan Female AAA League coming up on April 4th to April 7th. If you guys are interested in that, be sure to tune in to gshow.ca on gshow Productions when the time comes, because that is going to be some phenomenal hockey. But yeah, it's been a phenomenal season getting to cover the Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy Buffaloes. It's unfortunately come to an end, and now these players look into getting ready for next season. Of course, they'll still be practicing up until the whenever the ice stays in, whenever their schedule ends up ending for that. But as for what's currently going on, yeah, not much at Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy, except for coming up March 25th to March 28th. So starting today and running all the way until, I believe it would be Thursday, it's going to be the U7, U9, U11, U13, and U15 Spring Break Skills Camp. Of course, players from the academy also on spring break. We'll get to that in just a moment, but it's 2 ice sessions, 1 hour dry land, 1 activity session, lunch per day. Pilot Mountain Millennium Recreation Complex and the PMHA dormitory is going to be the location. So Blackjack Stewart Arena, basically. And yeah, I mean, full day hockey camps, individual skill development, focus, and tournament style games to be played. If your kid's interested in getting some extra reps in and wants to have some fun, yeah, it's $225 per player to cost. But who knows? They can meet some new friends and have a great experience over at Pilot Mountain, Manitoba. Be sure to check out pilotmounthockeyacademy.com for more details on this camp and all their other upcoming camps. And speaking of, yes, Carson Carroll's his day in the life video is up now on Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy's YouTube page, about 10 minutes and 15 seconds. Great job to the photographers over there in Pilot Mountain and everyone that was involved in this process in terms of doing a little piece on one of the best players, arguably the best player to come out of Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy. I still got to watch that myself. Haven't had a chance to watch the full video yet. We showed the snippet, I believe, a few episodes ago now, which was pretty awesome. Great to see that it's done. Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy on YouTube is where you can find this video. And finally, getting to this point right here, it's currently spring break. All players in the academy getting some time to rewind, relax before they get back to school. Of course, going to be practicing more and more until the end of the year, and obviously with exams and stuff coming up, it's time to buckle in and lock into not playing hockey as much, but keeping those grades up and achieving their best in their academics. So yeah, that's really all there is to this academy report this week. Not much going on since the CSSHL season is officially wrapped up. Congratulations to all 4 teams in the Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy, the Buffalo squads, for having a year where, yeah, the results weren't the greatest at times, but so much work went into it from the players and the staff, and to know that you were able to finish off strong for all of these teams at the end of the day is definitely big time. Should be proud about that and look to build off of any type of success you had this season into next season. For those that will be returning to the academy, lots of work going to go into recruiting, all that great stuff to get these 4 teams ready to go to play at their highest level next year. Gordy Tummelson and his crew gonna have a lot of fun scouting different players, I'm sure, this year, and bringing the new ones into the academy, as well as the coaching staff. All the coaches gonna be involved, and also great to hear that all the coaches are now finally clicking on all cylinders. Not much drama and not at all going on at Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy at this point. But yeah, we're most likely gonna be back next week for another episode, or I guess this week. That is most likely on Friday. That is still to be determined, though, since the players are on spring break. Didn't realize that until after my interview with Gordy yesterday. So yeah, if there isn't an episode again this week coming up on Friday, stay tuned for next week, where it could be the finale of the Buffaloes podcast for this 2023-2024 season. But yeah, for myself, Graham, the G Show Forsyth, this has been the Buffaloes podcast for episode 21. Always great to be here, Buffaloes Nation, and to give you all the news from around the academy, updating you guys on it, as well as being able to interview the people I was able to, especially in this week's episode. Thanks to Gordy Tummelson and Quinn Burfoot for coming on and being the guests. Thank you to you for tuning into this one. If you enjoyed this edition of the Buffaloes podcast, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future uploads of this podcast. Of course, a special thanks again to our sponsors in Make Canada Fasteners and Tools, your one-stop shop for all your industrial needs. Sure to visit their store locations in Brandon and Winnipeg, as well as checking out their website at makecanadafasteners.shop. Thank you to them for sponsoring another edition of the Buffaloes podcast and for supporting Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy content here on the network. Also, thank you to Terrico and to Goaltenders for also sponsoring this edition of the show. All the details for the upcoming episode will be on our social media pages, not all of them, probably on our Instagram as well as on Twitter. Those have been the two I've been focusing on the most in terms of getting our content out to. Gonna get back to posting on Facebook soon here. Kind of neglected that, but that's gonna change here coming up. Also, I know I said Twitter, it's called X now. I don't really care. It's such a stupid name change still to this day, to take such a recognizable brand and change it to X. Like, it's ridiculous. But that's outside the point. We'll have details, of course, on our website at gshow.ca for the upcoming episode. If it does come out this week, it'll be coming to you guys Friday night, most likely at 8 or 9 p.m. Full details will be on our website coming up in the next few days at that. To give you guys the update, of course, it's Easter weekend coming up, so everyone who celebrates Easter, have a great holiday, everybody. I wish you all a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you for tuning in once again to this edition of the official Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy podcast on G Show Productions. And until next time, Buffaloes Nation, I've been your host, Graham, the G Show Forsyth, giving you the salute, peacing out, and saying so long. As always, Tyson Unruh going to take us away with his rendition of the intro and outro of this podcast, March of the Buffaloes. Good night, everybody. Take care. See you soon.